Hello students, this is the second part of chapter 2 sectors of the Indian economy, class 10 economics. Considering the length of the lesson, I have divided this chapter into 4 parts. In the previous part, we discussed about the 3 sectors of the economy and the GDP. In this video, we are going to discuss about historical changes in the sector, that is from page number 23 till page number 26. Why the proper shifting is not happening from the primary sector to other sectors. The next subtopic is historical change in the sectors on page number 23. This we can expect as 5-mark question. What does the history of developed countries indicate about the shifts that have taken place between the sectors? At initial stages of development, primary sector was the most important sector of economic activity. We all know that it is the origin of all other sectors. During Stone Age, initial period, people were hunters and gatherers. As the methods of farming changed, agriculture began to expand, prosper, food production increased. Many people started taking up other activities like craft persons, traders, transporters, administrators, even army. Slowly, new methods of manufacturing were introduced, industrialization came up, factories came up with expansion. So the people those who were working on the farms started shifting in factories. Secondary sector gradually became the most important sector in terms of production and employment. As both primary and secondary sector started developing, there was a need for the service sector, for the coordination. So in the past 100 years, there has been a further shift from secondary to tertiary. Nowadays, service sector has become the very important, crucial sector in terms of production and employment. Most of the people are employed in service sector. On page number 24, see the subheading, primary, secondary and tertiary sectors in India. See the graph 1, which shows the GDP comparison of all the 3 sectors between the years 1973-74 and 2013-14. Actually, in the slide, there are 3 questions. Which is the largest producing sector in 1973-74? When you see that, you will find it is, here is, you see this, it is primary sector. The next question, largest producing sector in 2013-14, it's clearly visible, that is, tertiary sector. And which year has grown the most over the past 40 years? Tertiary sector, right? From the graph, we can easily make it out, tertiary sector is growing faster. What are the reasons or causes for the rising importance of tertiary sector? This will be a 5-mark question. The answer will be in page number 24 and 25. There are 4 points. Number 1, in any country, basic services like hospitals, education institution, post and telegraph service, police station, courts, village administrative offices, municipal corporations, defense, transport, banks, insurance companies, etc. are essential. The government of the developing country has to take the responsibility for the provision of these services. The next point is, development of agriculture and industry leads to development of tertiary sector. So greater the development of primary and secondary sector, more would be the demand for service sector. The third one, as income increases, certain section of the people start demanding services like tourism, shopping malls, eating out, and private hospitals, private schools, etc. So there is a constant growth of tertiary sector. And the last point, new services like information and communication technology has become very important and essential nowadays. So the production of these services rising rapidly. There is an unequal growth in the tertiary sector. Do you agree with this fact? This service sector or tertiary sector employs two different groups of people. At one end, there are limited number of services that employ highly skilled and educated workers. The other end, very large number of workers engaged in small services like small shopkeepers, repair person, transport person, vendors. They barely manage to earn a living. Yet they perform the service because there are no alternative opportunities possible for them. So, only a part of the sector is growing. Page number 25, there are two graphs given. The first graph, that is graph number 2, shows the shares of all these three sectors in the GDP, the percentage contribution in economic growth or GDP. The comparison between the year 1973-74 and 2013-14. In 1973-74, the primary sector is contributing 40% in the GDP. Secondary sector contributing 11% approximately in the GDP, and tertiary sector around 49% in the GDP. In 2013 and 14, the contribution from the primary sector is around 12%, 19% from secondary and 69% from tertiary. And if you see the next graph, which shows shares of sectors in the employment, the percentage of the sector's contribution in employment generation. In 1973-74, the contribution from the primary sector is 74%, 11% from the secondary sector and 15% from the tertiary sector. But in 2013 and 14, 49% from the primary, 24% from the secondary and 27% from the secondary sector. So when you see the contribution, the sector's contribution is in GDP, especially from secondary and tertiary sector, much higher than the sector's contribution in employment generation. Especially see the tertiary sector. Tertiary sector is contributing around 69% in GDP, but 27% of the people are employed in the sector. Why didn't a similar shift out of primary sector happen in case of employment? It's because not enough jobs were created in the secondary and tertiary sector. Even though industrial output went up by more than 9 times during this period, employment in the industry went up by around 3 times. The same is applicable to the tertiary sector as well. The production in the service sector rose by 14 times, but employment in the tertiary sector rose by just 5 times. As a result, more than half of the workers in the country are working in the primary sector, basically in agriculture, producing only 1/4 of the GDP. In contrast to this, secondary and tertiary sector produce 4/5 of the produce, whereas they employ less than half of the people. As many are working in agriculture sector, there is a underemployment. As it is hidden and invisible, it is also known as disguised unemployment. Regarding this topic, we are going to discuss in next video, that is part 3. If you find this video useful, please like and subscribe. Thank you.